All right, the NUX Trident send and return is simple. Send to your effect, come out of the effect and go into the return. Pretty simple how you hook that up. So that's the basics. And now, after your hardware's in, let's use the machine itself and get into the settings. So hit your parameter, and then of course here's all your effects, you know, your pedals, all your cabs and amps and all that kind of stuff. They're all here, and we'll talk about that later, but let's go to send and receive. Press the parameter button, and you're into the settings on anything, including this. Now, to get to each one of these knobs, you got to go down here and press the attending buttons. This one's for the send level, the return level. We'll get more into all these, and then there's your toggle on and off. So you can actually work this from the machine or in the software, which we'll also get into. One more thing is your mode, whether it's parallel, series, or branch, and we will also dive into that in this video. So you'll have different reasons to use those, and that's the basics of hooking up to this. Now, in order to set this thing up, you just do whatever you want, on or off. In this case, we'll turn it on, and just go ahead and get out, and you're all set. You don't have to save anything. So let's move on. Okay, let's talk about this serial, parallel, and branch mode area over here. All right, you can see in serial, obviously it runs in serial. In other words, the preamp from the modeler goes out the send into your effect and returns back in and goes to the power amp. So in this case, let's hear the clean signal. Pretty clean with a obvious delay on there. And that delay sounds pretty clean. Yeah, pretty clean. All right, so let me turn on a fuzz, and it's in the effects loop. Now, hold on. I kind of clammed out there. Listen to the trail on the delay. It's definitely fuzzed. And the signal itself is definitely all fuzzy. All right, now watch. When I go to parallel, what happens? You clearly hear this. Okay, now listen. Hear how clean the actual plucks are? You can hear it. It's the fuzz alongside the other signal. Listen again. See that? I mean, that makes it very clear. Super fuzzy because the whole thing's going straight through the preamp, through the effect. Everything coming out of whatever you set up here is going through this fuzz pedal. Now, it's not going through the fuzz pedal. The fuzz pedal's on the side. That doesn't mean the fuzz pedal's not going into your effects, because listen to the trails. They're definitely fuzzing, because listen. Now, I'm going to turn it off, the fuzz. Listen to the trails now. Clean as a whistle, the trails. Don't listen to the pluck, listen to the trails. Clean. Now watch this. Fuzz back on, listen to the trails. They're fuzzed. So that's what all that means is you're kind of putting the fuzz up front alongside the amp, but it's still affecting the signal. As you can see, if they have this arrow going, yes, it's going to go back into your, it's joining in eventually, but it's on the side. It's a little weird, but anyways. All right, now branch mode is completely different. This is where you're not even going to hear anything, because the fuzz is on, but the signal for the fuzz is not going back into the chain here. What it's doing is, notice they don't have any arrow to this return. You don't plug the return back in to the unit. You take the return or the out of whatever effect or pedal you're using, and you put it to a separate amplifier or a separate channel on your mixing board. It would depend on what you're doing. And what'll happen is the effect will run alongside completely, but it will have, I plugged it into an amp, it will have all of your other effects running in with it, but it'll just come out separate. And so in other words, what you'll have is, on this side, you'll have a clean signal of just what's all your effects on your Trident, and then through your pedal, you'll get all those signals, all those effects and so forth, but through your effect and then back out of it somewhere else. That's what branch means. And you can see that it's not returning, not into this unit. All right, so that's the modes for your send and return on your Trident. Okay, and then the final thing on the send and return is obviously your send and return levels. So generally they're gonna default at 0. They're about there anyways. And depending on the effect you're using, like I still got this fuzz hooked up, so you might want to adjust how much of the preamp is going in and feeding the pedal. So it might sound better depending on what you're using. You're probably not going to put a fuzz in your effects chain, but you might. But you can add more level or cut, 15 dBs either way. So you can also return. So in other words, okay, instead of pushing the pedal with the preamp, you might just want to push what's coming out of the pedal into the power amp. So let's try this. Now I'm not pushing the pedal more and putting more distortion on the pedal or more gain on the pedal. I'm just giving a louder signal out of the pedal or down. Put it down. Put that cookie down. So whichever way you got to go with it, just tinker with it, and depending on what the effect is, it may help. You may not need to use it, but if you do, it's there.